When you say more decentralization, could you just give me an example of that? Like I've done things about, monitoring like assets, and things like that. So I have some, I would an example of decentralization being that the person running the machine actually gets a notification of what they should do. It's also going back to the main brain, but they're able to also make decisions. Is that an example, or would there be a better example of something that's sort of that you're saying? I think you said the term working on the edge.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's two examples. That's a great question. So we have two areas really: monitoring and control. A lot of what we're doing at the edge in our first phase of this is a lot more monitoring based application. So an example of that will be we've got some end users in the rail sector who have kilometres of infrastructure of rail lines, mainly for freight management, not consumer market. In those environments, temperature plays a significant role in how optimized you can run the freight lines and the cargo containers across that infrastructure. If the rail lines get too hot, the carts can decouple and cause major issues of outages and just getting things back online. Mm-hmm. So there would be traditionally no way of easily monitoring that through outside of inspections and maybe some sensors, but getting that data back and then making decisions would be quite costly. You have to manage the network. You've got to have permanent power to run that across kilometres and kilometres of rail infrastructure. So for us, when we talk about decentralized control and monitoring, one area we're having a lot of progress with is working with these rails operators, putting IoT sensors every so many meters, I think about 500 meters to a kilometer along the rail line. And that'll just keep monitoring the temperature of that rail line. As we set parameters as to early indication, we can give early alerts that can be reported back to say, hey, there's something here that you may want to be aware of. In that case, the operators can either slow down the rail carts, or they can choose to see if there's an alternative path or manage more accordingly. So that's an example of not so much reactive-based decision-making, but more preventative, turning into proactive in a monitoring environment.
So that would be an example. So that would go to the actual operator of the train.
Correct. So the operators will make those decisions based on, are we going to slow down our cargo lines? Are we going to see if there's an alternative route? Is it better to hold back for a certain amount of time and then continue on? We're not ready yet through machine learning to make those automated decisions, but there's no doubt about it. As we get better insights into what's happening in those extreme environments, machine learning can play a part and likely will play a part. But in critical infrastructure environments, you're still very much having a human element be part of the final decision-making process.
That final decision. And what you're saying is, so when they say 4.0, are they including, I don't know who they is, but does it include that autonomy or the autonomous system as well to eventually integrate in so that train automatically knows, okay, well, no, we don't go down this route. We got to find a new route. This is the new route, all that.
Yeah. So again, this is where different market verticals in our region are progressing at different rates. In mining, we've got examples of connectivity, what we call nodes on autonomous trucks that are already self-regulating how they're controlling speed, GPS. They're already in that space, but a lot of learning has gone on. So in that sector for us, the maturity of, I guess, call it automated management is much more progressed. In the rail sector, which is for us been traditionally pretty slow to move, they're now starting to become much more aware of not so much controlling yet, but how do we start getting those environmental insights to make decisions that ultimately, once there's enough data collated and we can work out how we should behave in these scenarios, we probably will see more machine learning control how that freight line is going to move its cargo from A to B. So yeah, very great question. In some market sectors, we see quite a great progress around autonomous and machine learning. In others, it's still very much an emerging landscape. But it's all part of that industry 4.0.
It's all within the umbrella.